Hey guys, so today's video is going to be a little bit different. So today I just wanted to have a chat and kind of talk about race. As you could probably tell, I haven't posted any videos in about a month now. I had planned on taking a break from posting this summer, and I was gonna get back to posting videos again in the fall. But with everything that's been going on lately, I think these are important conversations that we need to have. So I wanted to make a video on this. I'm gonna be honest, this will probably be a long one. There are several points that I kind of want to get to, and I've made some notes, so hopefully I can stay on track and not get off too much on a tangent. I hope, but I make no promises. But yeah, so get settled in and let's chat. So, the first thing I want to talk about is how important it is for us to be having these conversations. And I do want to start off by saying thank you to those in the booktube community, authortube community, and really just anyone on YouTube that has used their platform to talk about this subject, to raise awareness, and to provide resources for others, and just have a dialogue started. So thank you so much for those of you who have used your platform for this. Your words mean so much. For those of you who haven't spoken up yet, it's never too late. You can always, use your platform, use your voice. And it doesn't even have to be YouTube necessarily. Use whatever platform you're on most, whether that's Instagram or Twitter. For me, I'm one of those old millennials, so I'm on Facebook a lot. So I post a lot of stuff there on Facebook. But wherever you are most, use that platform and just share, raise awareness, and speak up about these things. Now, I know this isn't a topic that's easy to talk about or discuss, and I know some people have said that they are uncomfortable with it because they're not sure what they should say, or they're worried about saying the wrong thing and messing up. Well, first off, to the uncomfortability part of this, it's okay to be uncomfortable. Be uncomfortable. That's okay, but speak up and do it anyway. The more we talk about these things and the more we have these conversations, even though they may be hard, they may be uncomfortable, the more we do it, the more comfortable we start to become with it. So, definitely speak up. And as far as being worried about saying the wrong thing or making a mistake, it's okay. You're human. You're gonna make mistakes. That's to be expected. So no one's expecting you to have everything all perfectly worded and eloquent. It's okay to make mistakes. Just be open to listening and receiving feedback from someone when they do correct you on your mistakes. Try not to get defensive. Especially nowadays, a lot of people get defensive super quick and easily. And what we need right now more than ever is just to really, listen, humble ourselves, listen, and try to understand the other person's point. Which brings me to actually my next point, which is to seek to understand rather than to respond. Now, what I mean by that is a lot of times when we're having conversations, sometimes we're more focused on how we're going to respond, or, we're thinking in our head what we're going to say next. So we're not truly focusing on what that person is sharing what they're telling us. And so it's really, really super important, when we're having these conversations, to really listen to the other person, to really hear their story, listen, and just hear about their experience and seek to understand, not just respond with their own defense. So when I say seek to understand, not just respond, I don't mean that we shouldn't respond at all. This is a two-way conversation that we should be having. So I'm not saying you can't say anything yourself, but I am saying, try to listen more and try to understand more. And I will say this does go both ways. As much as we want people in the white community to listen to us and hear our stories and really listen to our voices, like I said, it goes both ways. And I think those of us in the Black community should also try to understand the other side, and especially why this is such a difficult topic for some white people to talk about and discuss. And I really like the book White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo. And this book is written by a white author, and it's targeted to white people. And it basically explains, why it's so hard for some of them to talk about race, and why there's some of these triggers that come up and people get defensive. And so I think that book does a good job explaining some of these things. And I gained a lot of insight from reading it. I think it really helps you to see things from another side. And hopefully, maybe by doing that, we can engage in more meaningful conversations. So while we're on the subject of trying to understand each other, I want to bring up something that seems to be misunderstood by a lot of people. And that is the phrase, Black Lives Matter. When we say Black Lives Matter, obviously we're not saying Black lives are the only lives that matter. Obviously, we know all lives matter. But, this is an issue that we currently need to focus on. I like how someone else put it this way. They said, during Breast Cancer Awareness Month, if you're somewhere at a rally or whatever, raising awareness for breast cancer, you're not gonna see someone jump up on the stadium and go, wait, but all cancer matters, right? So it's like, just because we're focusing on one issue doesn't dismiss all the others, but that's the issue that needs our attention at the moment. Better example, right now with COVID going on, all our focus has been about COVID and staying safe and protecting ourselves and our loved ones, and social distancing and all these things. And that's not to say that all the other diseases and illnesses out there are important. That's not to say we shouldn't focus on a treatment or a cure for other diseases, but this is the one that's currently, rampaging our world and killing so many people. So this is the one that we need to focus on at the moment. And that's the same thing with Black Lives Matter. Another reason why it's important that we say Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter is because when you say all lives matter, whether you intend to or not, you are silencing Black voices. And the dismissal of Black voices and Black lives is what led us to this point to begin with. So we cannot be silencing Black voices right now. So, we need to be saying Black lives matter. Another point that I want to bring up that I think a lot of people misunderstand is, some people will bring up and ask, well, what about Black on Black crime? Why aren't we focused on Black crime? And here's the thing with that. First off, people kill people. That's just the way it is. It's been happening since beginning of time. People kill people. Blacks kill blacks, whites kill whites, Hispanics kill Hispanics, and so on and so on. The thing is, though, when a Black person kills another Black person, they're gonna go to jail. But the problem we're seeing is that when a white person, particularly in a position of power or authority, such as a cop, kills a Black person, there's usually not consequences for that. And that's a problem. That's an issue. And that's the injustice that we're fighting against. Cop or not, there should be consequences. And before anyone says this, I know there are plenty of really good, great cops out there. I'm not doubting that. I'm not saying there aren't good cops out there. There are good cops out there, but there are bad cops out there as well. And we need to hold them accountable. They need to have consequences. And we need to see a change in how the system is done so that these cops don't continuously get protected, but they do actually get consequences, and they do go to jail because this is not right. So that's why we're focused on this issue. Okay, so moving along here, my next point that I want to bring up and talk about is that we need to learn more of our history and self-educate ourselves and not just rely on what we get taught in schools, because a lot of things get glossed over, a lot of things aren't talked about in schools, or they're not given the proper amount of time to discuss in schools. And we all know the saying, those who don't know their past are doomed to repeat it in the future. And so it is important that we know our full history and not just, gloss over certain things. And because a lot of times it's not really taught in schools, it falls on us to educate ourselves on these things. And most of us won't do that unless we get into situations like this where we end up kind of having to, educate ourselves. And so with talking about self-education, I do want to point out another book that I read recently called White Rage by Carol Anderson. And this looks at the history of America and how the laws and institutions that were put in place after slavery were meant to oppress the Black community and keep them from advancing. So this one is one that I highly recommend. It can be kind of dense at times, so, sometimes you might be reading it and it can feel like you're reading a history textbook. I actually listened to this on Audible, so at times it did feel like I was in a history class listening to a lecture. But I think this dives into a lot of really important stuff for us to know and to educate ourselves on. Okay, so my next point, this is for my fellow brothers and sisters in Christ. So if you're not a Christian, you can stick around. I still have one more point after this one, or you can skip ahead to that last point. But this is for my fellow brothers and sisters in Christ, specifically those who have said that they don't think the church should be speaking up on this topic. I go to a church called CCV, and one of the things our church did was have a conversation on the topic of race. They did a video on that, I think a little over a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. But fairly recently, they did a video on that. And I saw in the comments of their Facebook page and their Instagram posts, there were a lot of people commenting saying that they were disappointed that the church was getting involved with this issue, and they didn't think that the church should be getting involved in this issue. They didn't think we should be speaking out about this. So this is specifically for those of you who have commented that or have thought that the church should stay silent on this topic. We really shouldn't. And God wouldn't want us to either. In fact, it's right there in His Word that we should be speaking up on these issues. And so I'm going to point you guys to 3 verses in the Bible. So I'm going to start off with Proverbs 31, verse 8 through 9. And it says, "Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. Ensure justice for those being crushed. Yes, speak up for the poor and helpless, and see that they get justice." The next verse that I want to bring up is from Psalm 82, and this is verse 3 through 4. And it says, "Give justice to the poor and the orphan. Uphold the rights of the oppressed and the destitute. Rescue the poor and helpless. Deliver them from the grasp of evil people." And I like how the Message version actually says this. So I'm going to read you the Message version of Psalm 82 as well, because I think it does an even better job at saying this. So the Message version says, "Enough. You've corrupted justice long enough. You've let the wicked get away with murder. You're here to defend the defenseless, to make sure that underdogs get a fair break. Your job is to stand up for the powerless and to prosecute all those who exploit them." So I'm pretty sure it's pretty clear in God's Word how He feels about issues like this and what He would want us as the church to do. But I'm also going to share one more verse with you. And this is Jesus speaking here. These are Jesus' words, and He says, "There is no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friends." So if that doesn't go to show what God's stance is on this issue, this topic, I don't know what will. It's pretty clear He says to speak up for those that are being oppressed, for the defenseless, So if you have an issue with that and you think that the church shouldn't be speaking up and getting involved, take it to Jesus. So it's pretty clear in God's Word how He feels about this topic, this issue. He would not want us to be silent. So if you still think the church shouldn't be speaking up, take that to Jesus. It's His Word. So go talk to Jesus about it. I would also like to point out as well that I know a lot of people think the church shouldn't be speaking up on this issue because they think it's a political issue that the church shouldn't be getting involved in. And this is not a political issue. This is a human rights issue. Just like women's rights were a human rights issue, just like LGBTQ rights, just like disability rights. All of these are human rights issues. Black Lives Matter is a human rights issue. So this is something that we need to be speaking up on. And we need to be unified in the whole point of Jesus' message is to love everyone. So if we are going to love everyone, then this is a topic that we can't be silent on. And this is an issue that we all need to be unified on. The church needs to be unified on, which I will also link in the description below. This past weekend at my church, Pastor actually did a sermon on unity within the church and how powerful and strong that is. So it was a really great message, and I will leave it linked in the description below if anyone wants to check it out. Now, my last point, if you made it this long, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. My last point to bring up is that we need to continue to educate ourselves and continue to speak out and have these conversations. Things aren't going to change overnight. The world's not gonna suddenly be perfect overnight. And this isn't an issue we can just ignore and pretend it'll go away or talk about it once and say we're done. You know, this has to be a continuous, ongoing thing. So continue to use your platform. Speak out when you see something or hear something that you know isn't right, and continue to educate yourself. I will leave links in the description down below to different resources, also to other YouTubers who have been talking about this topic, who've made videos on it and have shared their own personal experience. There's a lot of videos right now on YouTube. You can even look up where there's a lot of people, a lot of black YouTubers who are talking about their experience being black in America and their experience with racism. There's a lot that have been speaking up in the BookTube community, so I will leave video links to all of that in the description below. For me, I knew I wasn't going to talk about my personal experience in this video simply because my experience is quite a bit different because I'm not just a black woman, I am a black woman with a disability, with a physical disability, and I think that changes things a lot because the discrimination that I've experienced in my life, I think, has a lot more to do with my physical disability than it does with my race. And I think that's simply because, you know, it's the first thing you really notice about me when you meet me. It's kind of hard to miss the wheelchair. So my experience has been a bit different. And like I said, I think it has a lot more to do with my disability than race. So that's why I didn't really talk about my personal experience in this video. But there are a lot of booktubers and other YouTubers who have. So like I said, I'll leave their videos linked below, as well as resources to the books that I mentioned earlier in this video. I'll leave links to those books and also to just different resources that I think will be helpful with this topic. So that's pretty much it. That's kind of what I wanted to talk about for today. I don't know if I'll post another video anytime soon. Like I said, I was going to be taking a break for summer and then start posting again in the fall. So I don't know if I'll make another video before then. We'll kind of see. But yeah, if not, just be on the lookout for new videos in the fall, starting in September. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And let's keep the conversation going. So let me know in the comments below what has been your experience. Has this been a topic that's hard for you to talk about? What have you been learning during this time? Let's keep the conversation going in the comments below, but be respectful, guys. Like I said, this is a sensitive topic for a lot of people, so just be aware of how your words can come across in the comment section, because there's no, when you type something, there's no tone of voice, there's no inflection, and so things could be misinterpreted and misunderstood. So let's have a discussion, but let's also be respectful of everyone here. So that's it. I will see you guys soon, maybe in the fall. Bye, guys.